Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw. I'm here with Guy Young, who's Chief Engagement Officer for the Travel Corporation. And if you don't know the Travel Corporation already, you know its brands: Trafalgar, Insight, Contiki, Uniworld, Uniworld, a lot of different brands. And we're here in the Travel Corporation's relatively new Fifth Avenue offices. They're back in New York, and Guy Young is based here. And we're going to talk a little bit about the strategies going forward for the Travel Corporation. And this is Insider Travel Report. Now, Guy, it is gorgeous. We're not in Florence, as much as you got a beautiful mural in the back, but we are on New York's Fifth Avenue, and it's a return of sorts. Last year, you set up a new office, but you had been here before, right?
That's right. So yes, we're not in Florence, although I know we'd love to be in Florence, but we have a beautiful office here in New York City. And we opened up, it's actually just about a year now that we've been open. We opened up in May of 2017, and it's been very successful. It's been a great return to the city for the Travel Corporation, and things are going very well.
Yeah. Well, what is the purpose of this Fifth Avenue office, and what is your role?
Great question. So I think maybe what might help is for me to explain why we opened up the office. Okay. So about a year and a half ago, we had a strategic meeting with all of the key executives from the Travel Corporation. The owners were there, including Mr. Tolman, our chairman and founder of the Travel Corporation. And he sort of identified that we didn't have enough of a presence on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. This was just his sort of innate feeling. He felt, he had built the business for the Travel Corporation in the US from New York City. And over time, just it was circumstantial, it wasn't by design, but most of the executives moved back out to the West Coast, and we had very little executive presence on the East Coast. So that was his sort of feeling, and he asked me to go and kind of do an analysis and just see if what he felt innately actually measured out in data. Mm-hmm. So we went and we looked at a number of different data points. We looked at the number of sales managers that our competitors had on the East Coast versus the West Coast, and there we saw that we were really underrepresented. Then we also looked at, how many agents were based in each of the states on the East Coast, the West Coast, across the United States, and how much business the Travel Corporation was getting from those states. Mm. So a good example would be New York. So in New York, based on the data we looked at, 9% of the agencies in the US are based in the state of New York. And the Travel Corporation was getting only 6% of our business from the state of New York. So for us, that meant we're underpenetrating the state of New York. And there were about 16 states where we're underrepresented in terms of the amount of business we're getting, mm-hmm. and 14 of the 16 states were on the East Coast. So that was a clear indication that we needed more presence on the East Coast. So we opened up the office here on Fifth Avenue, and we hired 18 new sales managers sort of east of the Mississippi.
And those are for all the different brands?
For all the different brands, right. They're not multi-liners, they're specific for the brands. But in total, we had 18 sales managers. We hired more, for example, for Trafalgar, which is our biggest brand, and we hired maybe 3 for African Travel, which is a smaller brand. Right. But all in all, combined with all the companies, we hired 18 sales managers.
Yeah. Now, so how's it been going over this past year so far?
So far it's been great. I mean, overall, the business for the Travel Corporation has been fantastic. I mean, it's been a good year, I think, for most travel companies. But we're up in the region of about 20%.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, very good. And that's on top of a good year last year. We came off a rebound year from 16. We had a good year in 17, another great year in 18. We're certainly seeing more business from the East Coast versus the West Coast, and that should be the case, right, with 18 new sales managers, a new office. So overall, it's going very, very well.
Yeah. So going forward, what's the strategy just to keep boosting sales on the East Coast here?
Yeah, so definitely we want to continue to grow sales, not just on the East Coast, mind you, right, in the whole of the United States, but obviously we see more opportunity on the East Coast. And really what we'd like to do with this office is to make it a sort of a central hub for our travel agent partners. So we really encourage anyone who's coming through the city, if they need a place to work or they want to hold a meeting, we've got a beautiful office here, we've got extra office space, we've got a beautiful boardroom. So we'd like to encourage travel agents that are coming through the city to stop by the office, use the office they need to for a meeting with one of their clients. It's really open. We want this to be a hub of activity for our travel agent partners.
Well, that does indicate sort of the commitment you have as the Travel Corporation has to the travel agency distribution system. Talk a little bit about that commitment if you could.
No, that's great. I'm glad you asked that question because, this whole exercising, opening up this office and spending literally millions of dollars to hire salespeople, have an office here, is really to support our trade partners because, today about 90% of the business for the Travel Corporation actually comes through travel agents. Mm-hmm. So for us, it's an extremely important channel. As hopefully most of the agents know, we have a very high value types of experiences with lots of wonderful components included, and it really requires the expertise of a travel agent to communicate that to potential guests. And so we understand the important partnership we have with the travel agents. We want to continue to nurture that and grow our sales to the trade channel. So we're very much in that space. It's our most important space, and we're going to continue to drive that part of the business.
Fantastic. Now, I guess my last question is there anything else you want to communicate to travel agents about this new office and about the Travel Corporation's strategy going forward?
Absolutely. So hopefully the travel agents know already that we're very committed to that channel. And if there's anything we can do to mutually grow our sales, please reach out to us. We are doing a lot more efforts to sort of use the power of the brands. So we've, in the past we used to sort of, as you will know, we used to operate very independently between the brands. Mm-hmm. And now we've started to do a lot more things collectively. So, for example, now we have a website, ttcupdate.com, where agents can go and they can access all the different brands for the Travel Corporation. Mm-hmm. We are doing now big training sessions, what we call TTC University, mm-hmm. where we bring all the brands in together to educate our travel agent partners on the different brands and what we offer. And we're also doing on the marketing side, we've got a new campaign which is called the 10-Year Wallet, recognizing that guests are not going to travel in the same brand every year. We want to try to keep them in the family. So we do have a cross-marketing email campaign that we're doing to our past guests and prospects. They might have come to one of the brands and they might not have traveled with them. They might have traveled with them in the past. We want to introduce them to the other brands as well. So we are doing some cross-marketing. We always have as the call to action the travel agent. Mm. And 97% of the bookings that have been made from the initiative are going back to the travel agent. For that small percentage that choose to come back to us direct, we are actually cutting a commission check for the agent of record. So we are very conscious of making sure we keep it with our travel agent partners. We understand that those guests are just as much your customers versus ours, but we see it as a mutual relationship and want to make sure we keep it within the travel agent community.
Well, Guy, it's great to hear about and get an update. I know I was here when the office first opened a year ago, and it was interesting to see what the strategy was, and now here we are a year later, and you are here and actively working with travel agents, and I think that's great.
Thank you very much, James. Always great to see you, and congratulations on the great job you're doing with the Insider Traveller and new venture. It's been fantastic.
I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.